Well, good evening. I'm Krystal Allen. It's down to the wire. Soon we'll find out who will take the hotly contested 4th District congressional race. Democratic incumbent Gene Taylor and Republican challenger Stephen Palazzo have both taken their messages to the airwaves. South Mississippi voters have been inundated with political ads running on television and radio. Danielle Thomas reports on whether those ads are helping or hurting the candidates. Well, two groups that really made a showing in the last major election were young voters and women. Taylor and Palazzo say they recognize their presence at the polls, especially they say when it comes to those bread and butter issues like jobs. Meanwhile, our neighbors to the east are having a rough election season. With just a few days left till the election, Alabama's Republican Party headquarters in Montgomery has been robbed. Thieves broke into the office overnight and stole 10 laptop computers. The office manager believes the robbers were looking for money and took the computers when they couldn't find any. The building doesn't have surveillance cameras. Alabama's GOP leaders say while the information on the computers is private, it's nothing too sensitive. The office manager says he doesn't believe the break-in was politically motivated. The Alabama Democrats have said there's no way they would steal material to get a leg up in the race. For many people, playing dress up is one of the best parts of Halloween. You finally have the chance to be a superhero or a princess. But when you head out to trick or treat, what costumes will you be seeing? Elizabeth Vowell found out what ghouls are really cool this Halloween. Well, the week's kicking off with another big event, cruising the coast. Today, Gulfport used the event as a chance to showcase its downtown area. Gulfport also hosted a Houdat pregame party for the New Orleans Saints game. Well, cruisers made a stop at the Dunbar Village Nursing Home in Bay St. Louis today. Jessica Bowman has more from today's cruising party. There's no denying Katrina changed a lot of things, but those changes weren't all for the bad. For some Biloxi neighbors, it brought about a new tradition and a new sense of what it truly means to be neighbors. Well, in the battle to keep oil out of Mississippi water, state agencies say getting the latest and most up-to-date information is vital. Today, Department of Environmental Quality staff members boarded a Mississippi National Guard flight. Danielle Thomas on how DEQ hopes its work in flight will help keep oil from heading our way. Yeah, they're just a wonderful school, great group of kids. I actually had a chance to mentor and be part of their boost program this school year, and Carrie's very involved there too. So great school, great principal, great teachers, great. Elementary. That's all right. So I guess your wife will be putting you to work this week.
Already. I went out and bought some plants for the garden today. I'll be putting some tomatoes in the ground tomorrow. And in another 60 or 70 days, I'll be sharing them.
That sounds like a plan.
If they grow.
Nope. Need to work on that green thumb. All right, Mike, thanks.
Krystal, they decided to pimp their ride, and we will see that in about 30 minutes, and it's pretty awesome.
I like pimp their ride, black and gold style.
Right, yep.
It's pretty neat. All right, thanks, Jeff. The statewide burn ban might be lifted for the 6 coastal counties, but we're not quite out of the woods just yet, especially if you're the one who lights the match. In testimony this afternoon, the prosecution sought to prove that Timothy Ronk stole more than $1,000 from Michelle Crate. This as their home was ablaze in Biloxi's Wool Market community. On day now 61 of the oil spill, questions about who at BP is in charge of overseeing the massive oil cleanup. They found the vehicle, a gold SUV, in West Gulfport about a couple of hours ago. Now, police would not go into detail regarding how they came across it. However, they did say they're questioning someone believed to be associated with that vehicle. Now, the family of the loved one who's buried here says it believes someone rolled over the gravesite, possibly with a motorbike. These are the charred remains of some of the cars that were actually in the building, Allen Hyundai, when a fire broke out. And this water is rising. We were just here a couple of minutes ago, and it was at our ankles. Now it's up to our knees. A very dangerous situation. Just to be clear, with this next attempt, are we focusing our attention now on containment as opposed to stopping the leak altogether? They're expecting about 1,000 students to come out for this rally, and I'm going to step aside so you can see they're actually rehearsing and getting ready for it right now. There'll be drama presentations, there'll be local bands, there'll also be a guest speaker, so they really have quite a program planned here for tonight. Now, like we said, they're not at the pole tonight because they were actually at the flagpole this morning. And Youth for Christ organized an event in Van Cleve. In fact, our very own Patrice Clark was there this morning.
Krystal Allen is in the center of the action, as she generally is, and she joins us live from the pass.
Dave, you know I always love your introductions. You know I love being in the center of all the action, and I always try to find the most interesting folks I can. And of course, if those interesting folks involve food, you know I'm always there. I ran into the gingerbread man, folks. This is Harry, also known as Harry Wheeler. He and his wife, Joanne, own Bayou Gingerbread, here in Pass Christian. And I'm just going to take a little taste test to see how we're doing here on this gingerbread. Fabulous. Fabulous. I know I'm not supposed to talk with my mouth full, but it's great.
It's a story of two communities forever connected through the power of a camera lens and a monstrous storm called Katrina. Even more compelling were the people who captured the images and shared those stories. It all unfolded in a half-hour documentary called Pieces of Paradise, which highlighted the community of Bay St. Louis in the aftermath of the storm. Tonight, how it led to a lasting link between the Midwest and the Gulf Coast.
We are very interested in how students our age from Mississippi have learned to deal with the tragedies of Hurricane Katrina.
They weren't the storytellers that some might have expected to see in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. But down they came, a group of high school students from Ohio, ready to capture and share South Mississippi's story in a documentary called Pieces of Paradise.
It was just amazing to me that they were high school students with the magnitude and the depth of what they were doing. We used to have all the teacher parties over here and crawfish bowls and all that.
This is Liz Bosarge, a teacher at Bay High in Bay St. Louis, telling her story as part of the documentary.
They had an RV and I took them around town and showed them, and I mean they cried with us. I mean they cried just like they were the ones who had lost everything.
Bay High was adopted by the students of Hoover High School in North Canton, Ohio. The Ohio students raised more than $14,000 to help Bay High. But instead of just donating resources, the students donated their skills as aspiring broadcast journalists to reach out to the people of Bay St. Louis. Their efforts, according to former principal Marcia Alexander, created a special connection with students attending Bay High at the time.
I think it was really touching for the kids because they, like you say, they were able to tell their story in their own terms to somebody that understood from their perspective, being a young person also.
I know for experience, I had 3 of my athletes who rode out the storm and did not talk about it, and they opened up, and their dad told me that if it wouldn't have been for them, they don't know if he could have ever gotten his daughters to, to talk about it.
Students like Brittany Wasco, seen here, say they appreciated the opportunity to be there for the students of Bay High. She still speaks fondly of the bonds formed during that trip.
It was an experience of a lifetime. Not many kids my age could say that they have done something like this. So just the student-student connection was what made the experience so special.
It's a connection former Bay High student and now college freshman Chloe Harville felt during that 7-day visit.
I think it made everyone feel really special, and especially, I mean, there were a lot of people who didn't understand how bad the storm was, and to have a group of kids come down who got it and they didn't just understand that it was a bad storm, but they wanted to share with people in their community and share with other people through, their skills, which was video broadcast.
So we were hanging on a pine tree right here.
Upon completing the documentary, the students returned to Bay St. Louis. Nearly 500 people came out of their FEMA trailers to watch the half-hour documentary and share stories after the viewing. Tom Wilson, a video production teacher who came down with the students, remembers it as a poignant moment.
For me, that was probably the most impactful moment on me. I realized that through this medium that we teach kids every day, they truly can have an impact. And that's what it's all about from our standpoint. And then from there, it just became relationships that we've maintained with people even 5 years later.
I just think that the ladies and gentlemen from Hoover High School will always be remembered by those students that they worked with and by the people here in this community. I think they did the whole community a favor in that video.
And the student goal, of course, was to share what was going on in the lives of those following Hurricane Katrina. Well, they accomplished that goal. Here you see a photo of the documentary's premiere in Ohio. It also aired on public broadcast channels. And the students were also honored for their work. There you see right there. They were actually nominated for a regional Emmy for their documentary on Bay St. Louis.
While the trial was underway this afternoon, Michael Porter's daughter actually left the courtroom to go to a very emotional meeting with some Moss Point High School students. Krystal Anchoring continues our team coverage tonight.
This is not something that occurs every day. This doesn't represent us.
Just because we sit in a classroom with them does not mean that we're that same person.
The city of Moss Point does care.
I just wanted to say thank you, and that I really appreciated it.
The meeting didn't last long, but the bond is already beginning to form.
I love these kids, not even knowing who they are, and my dad has always taught me, you know, to not judge a book by its cover, and you know, this book is Moss Point, and I'm not going to judge the pages in the book.
Moss Point students involved with the Superintendent's Advisory Committee invited Brittany Porter to a meeting to share their commitment to nonviolence in her father's memory. Brittany's pain is one visibly felt by the students, by some on a more personal level.
I lost my father some time ago, and you know, just dealing with that is painful, but actually coming out and speaking to others about it is showing that she has some strength.
The students, too, are showing their strength by taking a stand against violence. They will once again hold a nonviolence march, and like the last one, Brittany says her family will be there. Tragedy brought them face to face, but their commitment to a violent-free Moss Point is what will keep this community and this family united.
They're just amazing. I can't speak anything else. I mean, these kids have touched me, and you know, I'd like for them to know that they have, and that they need to continue to touch other people's lives.
Every year there's more and more cars. I'm loving it.
All the cars, they're really cool.
Just got here today, and we drove our 2 cars all the way from Kansas City.
We traveled 1,300 miles from northern Pennsylvania, Halstead, Pennsylvania, just come down here cruising the coast.
Having a good time?
Oh, we're having a great time.
I look forward to cruising the coast every year. It's probably my favorite event of the year. It's worth living on the coast and dealing with the heat the whole year to be able to see these cars, I tell you what.